Hello guys, here I am with yet another Island 2 opinions video. These opinions will mainly focus on episodes 5 and 6 because there are so many things I want to talk about and I'm kind of annoyed at some of the things that have happened. Mnet is being so biased towards certain contestants and it's low-key getting on my nerves. Anyway, let's not waste too much time on the introduction and let's just begin with the video. Mai is probably the most overhyped trainee on the show. I'm sorry but it must be said. With that I'm not saying she is untalented, but judging by how much fans and judges put her on a pedestal, you'd think she has Jungkook-level vocals, Sujung-level dancing skills and Sarang-level stage presence. I genuinely like Mai. She seems so sweet and she always puts a lot of effort to make sure everyone in her team does well. She has also improved a lot since the beginning, but it's weird how nobody seems to question her presence in Island when more talented trainees are still in ground. You all ganged up on Ling Ling for becoming an Islander despite her mediocre skills, but never questioned Mai at all, as if there was such a big difference between their level of skills. Well, there isn't. I repeat, I genuinely like Mai. She's in my top 10 for sure, but it's crazy how you all overhype her when her skills are actually quite mediocre. Yui should have won over Fuko. If we have to take into consideration the 1 versus 1 performances only, then Yui should have absolutely won. She felt much more like a center than Fuko and she actually stood out a lot even if Coco was the one who had the most parts in the team. But when it comes to Fuko, she just got completely overshadowed by Sabi even if she was technically a center. Now don't get me wrong, Fuko is one of the most talented trainees in the show and at the end of the day she gave a pretty good performance, but it wasn't as impactful as Yui. But at this point it's clear the judges were never gonna be 100% impartial. They clearly want Fuko in the final lineup and they never really gave a fuck about Yui, so it all makes sense. Mai shouldn't have won over Yuju. It's getting more and more clear who the judges are biased towards, because there is actually no way Mai won over Yuju. I don't necessarily root for one more than the other, so I'm not saying this because I'm biased, but Yuju just did so much better. She looked much more charismatic and expressive during the performance. Her facial expressions looked more natural and she objectively sang much better than Mai. I like both of them and I'm totally impartial when I say that Mai shouldn't have won at all. Mnet is just making it fucking obvious that they don't give a damn about Yuju and that they desperately want Mai to debut. They're being so obvious it's pathetic. Sujung bit off more than she could chew. Sujung is one of those people who can do a bit of everything and do it well. She's truly what you call an all-rounder, but just because she's an all-rounder, she should never forget that dance is her strongest asset, not her vocals. As far as her vocals are concerned, she's someone who could fill in if the lead vocalist of the group was missing. Sujung could pull it off. If we consider Jungkook as a main vocalist, and Fuko and Jiyoon as lead vocalists, then Sujung wouldn't even be on lead vocal level, let alone main vocal. So my question is why the hell she decided to risk it. This was such a decisive challenge that could determine her future on the show, and instead of going for center or main dancer she went for main vocal. This is quite absurd and she surely bit off more than she could chew. I honestly hope that moving forward, since I think she'll make it to part 2, she will be wiser in her decisions because doing something like this again could be extremely detrimental to her. Sabi is the proof that stage presence will always come before skills. Sabi's win over Coco is something that not everyone agreed with, but I actually feel like it makes perfect sense. And it's evident that in the end having an outstanding stage presence will always matter more than having strong skills. With that I'm not saying that Sabi has weak skills or that Coco doesn't have a good stage presence, but it's clear that they have very different ways of performing and have quite different assets. This specific challenge was about who fit the main dancer role the best, so naturally many people felt like skills should have been the main factor to determine who should win, and so Coco should have won. But no matter how good of a dancer Coco is, someone like Sabi will always overshadow talented people who don't have as much of a star quality and center quality, and this doesn't make Coco any less deserving of being an idol. It's just that when it comes to these type of performances, even if dancing skills are technically what matters more, in reality people will just forget about good dancers the moment they see someone else who is not as good but who owns the stage better. So in conclusion I totally understand why Sabi won and I don't think she was undeserving of being picked. Ling Ling isn't as untalented as you all claim. I'll start off by saying that I don't really care about Ling Ling. I wouldn't care if she got eliminated because I'm just not interested in her. but some of you are exaggerating her lack of skills. She's not that big of a dozen as you all claim. It's just that his show is stacked with very charismatic trainees who stand out a lot and who tend to have a very solid set of skills. Not to mention Ling Ling barely gets any screen time, so even if she improves she barely gets to show it. She did improve in these past 2 episodes, and I don't hear people attack other less talented trainees as much as they attack her. I'm sorry, but your wound literally exists. A girl who has never shown any single sign of improvement at all. But you all don't talk trash about her as much as Ling Ling. And I think we all know why. Because pretty privilege is a thing. All in all, I don't care about Ling Ling, and I'm not defending her cause she's one of my picks. I'm just pointing out the blatant hypocrisy that y'all are showing whenever it comes to her. Sarang deserved her win over Jimin. I'm sorry to say this, but Jimin really didn't stand out at all during this latest performance. The main reason is that her part was extremely short, but then again, Sarang had the exact same part and she managed to be relatively impactful despite having only a few lines. This is what I meant when in my last video I said that some people overhype Jimin's center quality. She's good, but she is not as good as someone like Sarang when it comes to dominating the stage. Also, because Sarang is objectively a better dancer. Don't get me wrong, I like Jimin and I want her to debut. But I don't wanna hear anyone claim she should have won this challenge because she was actually quite underwhelming. Which sucks because we all know she can do much more since she's talented. And I just hope that in the future, if she gets the chance to choose her part first, she will challenge herself to do something that will help her stand out more instead of settling for such a small part, because she's more than capable of doing well, and it's sad to see she's lacking confidence. And lastly, I have a more general opinion. Stop pressing people on who they should and shouldn't vote for. I have my preference and you have yours. This is a simple rule that everyone should follow whenever there's a survival show going on. I've seen so many people saying things like, if you don't have this trainee among your picks, it means that you don't care about talent. You should not vote for this trainee because this other trainee would be a better choice for this role. And things like that. I mean, I can definitely disagree with who some people are voting for, and I can definitely have a hard time understanding why someone is voting for a certain trainee rather than another. But you have absolutely no right to tell others who to vote for. Everybody is free to vote for whoever the fuck they want. I'm sorry, but you're not the voting police. Everybody can vote for who they want. Whether that person is the most talented trainee or the biggest fucking dozen, who cares? I might disagree with a certain trainee being voted because I don't want them in the lineup, but I have no right to annoy or straight up harass people because they're voting for that trainee. In conclusion, vote for your picks and let others vote for theirs. So this was it. I feel like it's becoming more clear day by day that mnet is biased towards certain contestants and will do anything to bring them to the finale. Not to mention the final lineup is already so fucking obvious. But anyways, feel free to share your opinions on this latest episode if you'd like. Thanks for watching. Bye besties.